Hello there. I am Glenn Mitchell of the Free and Formula Hypnotherapy Academy, and I'm here with my new series of videos, which is debunking hypnotherapy myths. So, the first myth I want to come with, because I've heard this one so many times, is only weak people can be hypnotized. Only weak-minded people or people that aren't very intelligent. And this is what you call a vampire myth because it just refuses to die. No matter how many times you debunk it, people still think it. It's so persistent. So the myth is basically that weak-minded people or gullible people are the most likely to be hypnotizable. But in reality, the opposite to that is true. Hypnosis is not about submission or control. It's about focus, imagination, and responsiveness to the suggestion. And research actually shows that, and it consistently shows this actually, people with higher intelligence, higher levels of creativity, and stronger concentration skills are very often the most hypnotizable people. And so, as I say, research has shown that intelligent and imaginative people, especially if they're capable of deep focus, tend to be the best candidates for hypnosis. And it's really interesting because this has been around for a long time. I mean, there was a study into this published back in the International Journal of Clinical and Experimental Hypnosis way back in 1965. And that found that hypnotizability correlates with cognitive flexibility and the ability to immerse oneself in experiences. In other words, people who can vividly imagine scenarios are deeply engaged with activities such as reading books or watching movies are very good candidates for entering hypnosis. Additionally, a study by Spiegel, Dr. David Spiegel et al. In 1990 used neuroimaging to explore the brains of highly hypnotizable individuals, and they found increased activity in the anterior cingulate cortex, and that's a brain region which is associated with focus and attention control. So this supports the idea that hypnosis requires mental discipline, not gullibility. And so part two of that is that strong-willed people cannot be easily hypnotized because they won't let you in here. They'll fight you off. A lot of people, again, believe that if you're strong-willed, then hypnosis can't possibly work on you. However, hypnosis has got nothing to do with losing control in your own mind, and it's got nothing to do with the hypnotist taking any control. That's just another myth. It's about increasing your focus in that moment, and that in itself increases the receptiveness to beneficial suggestions. And so the best hypnotic subjects are people who are independent thinkers, self-aware, and capable of deep mental absorption. And so if we look at a landmark study by Kirsch and Lin in 1995, in that study, it was demonstrated that hypnotic responsiveness is absolutely not linked to or correlated with personality traits like submissiveness. Instead, it's associated with absorption. So again, our example of getting lost in a book are people that tend to daydream, make the best hypnotic subjects, not people who are highly submissive and not people who are weak-willed. And so, interestingly enough, not everybody is highly hypnotizable. There are a small percentage, probably 10 to 15% of people are like really highly hypnotizable. And then about 70%-ish are moderately hypnotizable. and 10 to 15% are low responders to hypnosis. But what this all means is everybody is to some degree hypnotizable. Now, in that 15%, you can respond to hypnosis very, very well, and it can be very powerful. In that 70%, it might take a bit more effort on both your part and the part of the therapist. And that 10 to 15%, to be perfectly honest, there's probably other modalities that are better. And so this was confirmed in a large-scale meta-analysis. Now, a meta-analysis is basically an analysis of studies that have already happened. So a large-scale meta-analysis by Barnier and McConkey in 2004 confirmed these figures. About 10 to 15% highly hypnotizable, 10 to 15% low responders. Everybody else is in the middle. And so it suggests that hypnosis itself is a fairly natural state of mind. Most people are capable of getting there without massive effort. It's an enhanced state of focus where the brain becomes, as I said multiple times, receptive to suggestion and also able to safely explore things that you possibly couldn't explore whilst eyes open, fully awake. It's similar to getting in the zone when you're working on a project or doing some sort of sport. So what is it that makes a person a good hypnotic subject? We've looked at the fact that it's not about being weak-willed, and we've looked at the fact that being strong-willed doesn't mean that you fight the mind control off. So good hypnotic subjects very often exhibit high levels of concentration, strong imagination, emotional openness, and cognitive flexibility. So these tend to make the best hypnotic subjects, but they're not the only hypnotic subjects. As we said, about 80 to 85% of people are to some degree really fairly hypnotizable, and only about 10 to 15% are low hypnotizability. So if you look at clinical applications of hypnosis, i.e. hypnotherapy, where you've got highly successful professionals like athletes, surgeons, chief executives, all using self-hypnosis to enhance performance, reduce stress, and manage pain. And again, if hypnosis is some sort of mind control, why are we able to do self-hypnosis? How could we possibly get ourselves into hypnosis if it was mind control? And the answer is we couldn't. So the idea that hypnosis is for weak-minded people is just completely false. All of the research that's been done into this shows that intelligent, creative, and focused individuals tend to be the ones that are the most hypnotizable. So hypnosis isn't a weakness at all. It's about harnessing the power of your mind to create positive change. If anything, it takes mental strength and an open, adaptable mind to be able to really benefit from the power of hypnosis. So if someone does claim that they're too strong-willed to be hypnotized, that's not a sign of strength. It's just a sign that they don't really understand how hypnosis works. So hypnotizability has got nothing to do with weakness or being weak-willed or anything like that. It's got everything to do with being open, being adaptable, being strong-minded, being intelligent, having a good imagination. Those are the traits that make a person highly hypnotizable.